guys to the first video in the limited edition series, College Callbacks. And today, we are going to be reading my analysis/summary from back in college about it, about a 4-pager, but before you do see this video, you should go down to the link in the bottom, well maybe not a link, but at least a searching option, and go look into the plot overview for A Perfect Day for Banana Fish from SparkNotes. That will help you understand what I'm about to read to you guys here today. So with that said, let's get underway. Here's today's college callback. Wrote this for a professor of mine, Professor Rauscher, back in the day. He's actually Irish, and he was a very cool guy. Funny fact here, he actually, if anyone's seen Everybody Loves Raymond, met or possibly went to school with, from what I can recall, with the guy who plays his dad in that show. So, anyways, without further ado, here we go. A Perfect Day for Banana Fish is a rather tragic story. It's intriguing, slightly suspenseful, and an amazing fake short story that feels more like it could be a story of something real. Seymour Glass, the main character, is unable to act, think, or even perceive anything like a normal adult. He more preferably hangs out with children instead because he can get along with children rather easily, and believes that they still see the world in a different, unique, and innocent way. Muriel, Seymour's wife, is careless, but loyal to her husband, just as much as he is to her. Her husband, Seymour, is delusional, but affectionate, and also a bit deranged. Some people who read the story might find Seymour to be a bit detached from the world around him, and that's because, in truth, he is. He has a mental illness. Muriel may be a loyal, careless wife, but she's perfect for her husband because they are really more similar than some might have thought when reading the story. The fact that she hasn't divorced him yet might seem odd, but again, that's her loyalty to him. She herself is slightly detached. She isn't just loyal, though. She's holding on to him because she's crazy too. Muriel sees Seymour in a different light. The people in the story, as well as those who read it, notice that Seymour is weird and crazy. Muriel doesn't see him for that, though. Her mom warns her about him on the phone. She wants to get her daughter away from him. And the mother mentions him doing something weird with the trees. Despite that phone call, she still decides to stay on that vacation with her husband. At this moment, the reader should realize that she too is blind to the world around her, just like Seymour. And both don't care what the world thinks. As one can hear by Muriel ignoring her mother and the mental illness of her husband, I'm sure, she can't see what's right in front of her. All she sees is a nice vacation with the man that she once fell in love with and married a short while ago. She doesn't see a mentally ill husband at all when she looks at Seymour. They are both visually impaired to the world around them, and that's what makes them such a perfect, similar couple for each other. Now, when Seymour goes into the water to play with Sybil, he tells her the story of the banana fish, which is what this is mainly about here, and how there are burrows of bananas that when a fish finds it, it goes in the burrow, right on in the burrow, to eat all the bananas. But after it's done eating, it's too fat to get out of the burrow and dies. Now, of course, there is no such thing in reality. He may or may not know this, provided his mental illness causes him to think that's real. I'm not sure of that, whether he does or does not distinct, a thought between the two on it. But, now of course, you got to look at it this way too, The little girl plays along. She may not be crazy, but she's just a kid. A careless little girl just trying to have fun, much like Muriel. Which is also a possible reason why he plays with Sybil and tells her the story of the banana fish. Behind that story, there's a hidden meaning. The truth is that everyone is a banana fish. Even me. Even all of you. A common saying in life that many people grow up to hear is that too much of anything is bad for you. That is the exact saying that the fish and bananas represent. The bananas represent a person's desires. Obviously, the fish represents the person. Now that the representations are known, it makes the story easier to understand, hopefully for anyone who doesn't get it yet. Once any reader of this story figures this out, they just have to fill in the blanks. It's pretty simple. When the reader fills in the blanks, they notice the similarities between the fish and the person. The fish are just trying to eat all those bananas, and that is why the people are just so similar to this, because they're trying to accomplish their desires. While eating those bananas, the fish gets fatter until they can't get out of the burrow, like I said before. But oftentimes, when people chase their desires, they must face some consequences. It's just the way it is. It's going to happen. There may be some rough patches when to accomplish one's dreams. I've been through many myself, and I'm sure there'll be many more for myself and many others out there who are going through it, whatever it is they're chasing in their life. Sometimes people end up doing things they don't mean to do, but it ends up being either really amazing, and even the best discoveries are mistakes. Look at penicillin. Or they could accidentally do something horrible. There are times when a person must do something they truly don't want to do in order to accomplish their goals. When one finds themselves in that position, they may get roughed up a bit and go through things like getting thrown in jail or getting killed, unfortunately, or severely injured. A perfect example of this to me, though, would be when a baseball player uses steroids and he gets caught, and then he's snubbed out of the Hall of Fame, or fined, or even suspended, if they're lucky. And this is all very much like Seymour and his life. And having to deal with his mental illness, remember that again, every day. So, in a way, him telling this story to Sybil is a way of admission and coping with reality for him. In many ways, life is just luck of the draw. It really is. Sadly for Seymour Glass, it wasn't the good hand for him. It seems as though he wished he never drew a hand at all, as evident by his rather shocking story-ending suicide. One might think to ask, why in the story with suicide? It's not a bad question. It includes a reasonable answer. Seymour was mentally ill, but that's not a secret to anyone who reads the story. He was troubled with this mental illness due to his own pastime experiences with being in a war. So he eventually couldn't take it anymore, and he killed himself. This sort of thing Seymour is going through has a name in current time, and it's known as TBI, traumatic brain injury. Seymour needed help, but didn't know it. If he had been getting help, he might not have been as crazy, and may not have even killed himself. Nowadays, people have a higher awareness for this and can tell if a former soldier, or themselves, if they were a former soldier, are suffering from TBI. It's kind of strange how Seymour, although crazy, appears to be able to foreshadow the American post-war future. I don't know how. He does this by telling the story of the banana fish to Sybil. It seems as though the fish could be America as a whole, because war generates a better economy. It's a fact. But then, once the country got to having too much money, bananas, if you will, in this scenario, it threw it all down the toilet. A country once wealthy beyond other countries' wildest dreams has now turned irresponsible and poor. I mean, look at us, trillions of dollars in debt. According to Damien Chazelle and Saman Chanani, there is always a fine line between madman and genius. And after all, a line which Salinger explores again in Teddy, the final entry in 9 stories. Really, you should check out all the 9 short stories of J.D. Salinger. They're all good, but I'm specifically focused on today with this one because I wrote about this one, The Perfect Day for Banana Fish. Back to that anyways, it's as if Salinger is the real genius, though. He created the story as well as Seymour Glass, and the other 8 stories, obviously. If the prediction of the American economy was his goal, it looks accomplished then. Salinger did a great job there. He hit the nail dead on the coffin. Technically, Seymour tells the story, but Salinger wrote it, obviously. This was indeed a very well thought out story by Salinger, and one that certainly sparks much thought, ideas, curiosity, and definitely leaves the reader stunned. No one saw the possibility of Seymour ending the story with his own suicide. But he did. And that's what makes this story such a hit. The suspenseful, weird twist. One minute he's in an elevator. Next, he pulls out a gun and shoots himself. Boom. Dead. He never once spoke with his wife. The entire story. Believe it or not. If you read and think about it, he never did. One must wonder, what if he did enjoy the vacation with his wife and spent time with her? Would it have calmed his nerves, perhaps? Would he have not died? How could the story have gone differently? It was a very open ending to which, if one erases the self-inflicting gunshot, anything could have happened. He could have even turned murderous. Maybe he wouldn't have just been suicidal, but homicidal. All in all, it was a shocking ending to a great story. And that is what I came to think about The Perfect Day for Banana Fish story by J.D. Salinger, one of the 9 short stories. All fake, but I think you guys should go and give that a read. Okay? Thank you guys so much, and I next have one more thing before I go. Which one of these 2 shirts will I wear all June long? The blue polo shirt, rep me some Jerry Steinfeld style, or Mr. Dark Plaid? What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Polo or plaid?